I'm getting a lot of questions of threefold questions we've gotten over the past 3 weeks to a month. Number one, what's changing since the Dobbs decision essentially vacated Roe v. Wade? Question number two, what's Lutherans for Life doing different now? And number three, what can I do? First of all, what's changing since Roe v. Wade has been overturned? Well, less than you would expect. The most important thing that's changing is the cultural conversation. People are thinking and talking about this stuff. What a wonderful opportunity for us to speak into that situation in a gospel-motivated sense, because I'm sure you're hearing the same kinds of conversations that I am, and they're not very gospel-motivated. So we can inject the gospel of Jesus Christ, that God creates, redeems, and calls every human being to have infinite worth and purpose as his precious treasure from fertilization to forever. I told this story to the board of directors as we were meeting, but Dr. Seltz, I was with him at an event in Kansas just a couple of weeks ago, and Sherry was there, and Jeannie and Jay were there too, and he had been on the ground outside the Supreme Court when the Dobbs decision was published. And either he was wearing a clerical collar or carrying a sign or something that made his position on the matter evident, because a young man, a very angry young man of the other position, came up to him and got in his face and said, "Why are you even here?" And Dr. Seltz responded, he said, "I'm here for you." He said, "I believe that every human life has worth and purpose that deserves to be respected and protected, and that concludes you as my neighbor. Don't you feel like your life has purpose? Don't you want to live in a country where every life is respected like that?" And the young man said, "Well, I never thought about it that way." And by the time their conversation was over, he walked away saying, "I'm going to have to reflect more on what you said." That's how we inject the gospel of Jesus Christ into these very difficult conversations. And that's what's changing. Of course, we have the opportunity to advocate for some more restrictions on abortion access at the local and state level. We hope that you will continue to do that. Every one of us should be civically active, right? And that includes advocating to your elected representatives, voting when those opportunities are available, because every one of those is an opportunity to love our neighbor. That's what motivates us. Vote according to the Word of God. But other than that, our work continues, because the work of Lutherans for Life was never primarily to try to get a law changed. We believed that that was going to happen as a byproduct of what we are doing, but it was never sort of our finish line. As a matter of fact, our finish line is not even to end all abortions. We believe that will happen as a byproduct of what we are doing. But remember, our finish line is to bring the gospel of Jesus Christ to the broken and hurting one right in front of us, so that we may receive them not only as a neighbor, but as a brother and a sister for all eternity. That's our gospel-motivated mission. That doesn't change. If anything, we have new urgencies, new opportunities. Secondly, people are asking, what is Lutherans for Life doing about this situation now that Roe v. Wade has been overturned? And a wonderful opportunity that is to testify to all of the programs and services and education that we've been doing all along. You will see some special things from us in the coming months. We are preparing a series of bulletins just to highlight some of our important initiatives as Lutherans for Life in the wake of the Dobbs decision. One of those is going to focus on correcting some of the misconceptions. There's a lot of misinformation about there, like it's illegal to treat ectopic pregnancy and other nonsense like that. One of those is going to focus on pregnancy resource centers and how a congregation can connect with their local center and what they're doing. We're going to encourage people to stay literate, fluent in the legal landscape, because now instead of one Congress and one courthouse being the focus for legislation, it's 50 of them. So the battlefield just, got bigger. But you'll see some of those things as well. And then finally, people ask, what can I do? Well, there's a few things. Number one, connect with your local pregnancy resource center. If it is in fact true, as we are being told that with restriction on abortion access, people experiencing surprise pregnancies are now going to need another place to turn. We certainly want them to turn to our pregnancy resource centers, where they are provided with not only material resources, but compassion and a support network, not just for their pregnancy and birth, but for their entire life. Secondly, I would encourage you to celebrate the blessings of life that God gives. You are a walking, living testimony to the sanctity of life to the people around you. Enjoy family, marriage, children, even sexuality. According to God's design, of course, but these are good things. They're beautiful things that God has given us. So let's affirm them as blessings, and as we are able, share them with other people. Thirdly, be a neighbor. Form relationships. That's one of the most important things that we can do. Very rarely does a single conversation or interaction about a particular point of contention in the sanctity of life debate, very rarely does that change anybody's mind. And very rarely will a person even listen to you or care what you have to say unless they trust you. So let's build trust. Remember, our goal in sharing the message of the sanctity of life is not just to change somebody's mind. It is to receive that person as the gift and the privilege that they are, so that they can receive others around them as well and affirm their value too. Some other exciting opportunities. We've been getting a lot of inquiries over the last 6 months or so from church bodies that are not located in the United States. Primarily some opportunities with connections with Lutheran churches in Africa. We're looking to explore those a little bit more. I think there's a great future for Lutheranism outside of North America. There's a great present for Lutheranism outside of North America. And a lot of those folks are asking for the work that we've already done, right? How do I connect the Holy Scriptures and Lutheran doctrine to these sanctity of life issues in contexts where we are facing those? We'd like to provide those sorts of things. So we're exploring some avenues for doing that as well. The Y for Life program continues to grow by leaps and bounds, and continues to make long-term relationships. And so over the next several months, we're actually going to be studying what we can do to bridge our Y for Life, our student leaders and volunteers, with our adult communities across the United States. We've been getting a lot of questions from our life teams and life chapters for several years now about how do we involve more young people? We have a volunteer relations department, a Y for Life department, who are going to be working on helping equip our life teams and life chapters to do things like that, but also equipping our life teams, life chapters, state federations, and other interested but unaffiliated individuals in particular things that you can do. So you may hear a term like servant event in a box or advocacy kit, because we're working on developing some of those. You may hear about particular national initiatives that we're hoping that lots of life teams and life chapters can be involved in. So kind of like Step Up for Life, where we all did the same thing at the same time. There's a lot of different opportunities for that. I mean, imagine if we had a campaign of collecting funds or materials for your local pregnancy resource center. We did that across the United States. Those are the kinds of things that we have in mind. Those of you who did not know, LFL has an app now, a mobile app, and if you haven't downloaded that, please do. Jerry's actually our app administrator, so all of the information that you see on there, she's keeping it up to date, and I think having a good time doing that. Jerry feels like she's young and cool when she does that. So if you want to help Jerry feel young and cool, you should download the app. Yeah. Compared to all of us, Jerry is young and cool. I wanted to give a few minutes though for, gosh, there's so much other stuff going on. We were contacted by Lutherans for Life of Latvia. Did you know there was a Lutherans for Life of Latvia? There's a Lutherans for Life of Latvia, and we were contacted by them to partner in a translation project for one of our resources, Grounded in God's Word, to translate that into Latvian. We've been invited to be present at the upcoming meeting of the International Lutheran Council in Kenya. I don't know if that's going to be feasible, but the fact that we were invited specifically shows that we're at least on the radar there. We were contacted by Concordia Publishing House to consult with them on their sex education resources to give some thought to how those can best be used. I mean, there are lots and lots of wonderful opportunities, and I'm so grateful to you guys for your volunteer support. Oh yes, we have an entire team devoted to multiplying our resources in Spanish. And so we're translating resources that we currently have into Spanish, but also exploring new resources that are necessary for our Spanish-speaking communities. We have another team devoted to living with disability and resources for individuals, families, communities to affirm the sometimes overlooked or marginalized neighbors that they have who live with disabilities, and how can we advocate for their needs and receive what they have, the blessings that they have to give as well. But I wanted to give a couple of minutes for you guys to answer, to ask any questions you may have about anything that we've talked about so far, or anything that we haven't talked about. This will just be open Q&A session. Yes, Pastor Bottorff.
Maybe you've already thought about this, your team, but it just seems logical to me that you don't want to at least consider including these international opportunities in your quote-unquote end-of-the-year letter to motivate the base for their giving.
That could work, but we've got to make sure that we have plans to actually take advantage of those international opportunities first. So we've got to do the planning on how we're going to make those things happen. You should pin Scott down sometime and ask him about the Lutherans for Life work that he has done for many years in India. An orphanage over there, and several, both lay and clergy conferences that have been held on a wide variety of issues that he's been heavily involved with. What other questions? Dr. Grad.
So just a comment, I said this at the board meeting as well. I want to underscore how incredibly valuable the For Life Live Zoom broadcasts have been. I mentioned that's how I've gotten to know everybody here. And the topics are incredible. And even if the title doesn't look like something you're involved in, watch it anyways, because you're going to be drawn in and it's going to be a great talk. So I just want to give a shout out to that.
Wonderful opportunities that we have to video conference together, and actually all of those are archived on our YouTube channel. If you've not visited our YouTube channel, we have tons and tons and tons of stuff there. This time that we're spending together is probably going to end up on that YouTube channel. We'll chop it up into bite-sized chunks so you don't have to watch 8 hours of presentation. But thank you for that.
I don't have a question, but just something, and ask for prayers. We have a rally coming up on Tuesday at the State House in Indiana. We are still hashing out what abortion laws are going to look like in our state. And so far we have over 900 individuals who have registered to prayerfully and peacefully be involved in that. And those are just those who have registered. So if all of you could join, I actually get to attend. So we have the opportunity to speak with some of our legislators, and so we're just really hopeful that our voices will be raised and our prayers will make action take place in the state of Indiana.
Outstanding. See, now the action has moved and the focus has moved to some of those state level efforts. So very grateful that you as the president of the Indiana State Federation are involved on the grassroots level of helping organize that, and we wish that God will bless your gospel motivated voice in that context. Jill.
Lutherans for Life pairs well with LWML. Pastor Salome co-wrote an article in God's Summer Lutheran Women's Quarterly.
I sometimes forget about those things because I wrote that a long time, and they have to get it ahead of time and I've already moved on to the next thing. But yes, we have a profile in Lutheran Women's Quarterly because we were given a grant that came to us before the pandemic, and it was so timely because we wrote that grant for developing digital resources. And then the pandemic happened, and because of LWML we had the money, and because of the pandemic we had the time and the need to develop some of those resources like For Life Live and a series of podcasts and Chats for Life and things like that that we're now offering. So
That was obviously a coincidence.
right, God knows what he's doing.
Michelle's not here, would she have any new thing to report on?
She would say that Y for Life has a series of new informational brochures, very useful ones, as a matter of fact, that are that serve our youth audience well, but that actually serve our broader audience as well. Things like abortion and race. What a timely topic. She's got one on contraception, got one on creation and evolution. There's another one on chemical abortion. And there'll be more of those coming out. In addition to them being in brochure form, they're actually designed as infographics, which are suitable for social media. They're these long pictures, right? So that you can just keep scrolling down and find more and more information. So one of the most important things that you can do for Lutherans for Life is like and follow our Facebook, Instagram, and other social media presences. I don't know if she's doing Snapchat or not. We do have a Twitter presence. I'm not sure how much stuff goes out on Twitter. And then share that stuff across your social networks. The more we get the word out, the better it is.
The Life for Life Instagram is fantastic because it breaks it down in a way that's easy to share with anybody.
Yeah, we actually have young people helping do that, which is why it's so wonderful.
You want to show these or not?
They're on the table. You can get...
These are the ones on the table.
Absolutely, yep. Let's see, we were at the National Youth Gathering in Houston a couple of weeks ago. We had a non-stop stream of students and adults for 3 days from 10 o'clock in the morning till 6 o'clock at night. Actually, after each of those days, my throat was sore from talking so much. That's how many conversations we had. And Michelle, of course, is at the Higher Things LCMS youth gatherings as well.
She'll be at the one in Valpo next week, and they gave her a speaking spot too, and panel discussion.
Yep.
How many colleges are connected now to Life for Life?
How many life teams do we have? Austin, all the Midwest ones, so Mequon, Nebraska, Chicago.
St. Paul's working on one, and Ann Arbor is on and off.
Right, we have certainly had leaders who have come to our events from Ann Arbor. And we've had interested parties from Irvine as well,
Yeah.
that she's started to work with. So that's quite a few.
Does that include the seminaries or not?
Yes, we do have a life team on each of the seminary campuses as well. So very excited about those things. We're all kind of worn out, huh?
Spotlight on Life.
Right. Spotlight on Life is an initiative that we started some time ago that we haven't got the publicity really off the ground for, but this is, Spotlight on Life is our name for kind of a mini conference. We have a variety of staff members who are experts on particular life issue areas. We're looking to get them and their education out into your congregations. We will help you plan and publicize an event, as well as help subsidize the cost of that. So all we really need from you or the congregations that you serve is an interest and a date. What?
It's for the churches, like if your churches or your community want to put it on, they're the ones who are in charge of basically planning it, publicly. Yeah, and so we're just there to speak. I mean, if they want some guidance.
That's what I mean. Yeah, we'll give you some coaching on, we're not going to carry out the publicity for you, but we have some great ideas on how you could do that. That's what I meant. Jan is actually on our Spotlight for Life team, and so that's why she can give us sort of extra background on the details. But we're helping cover the cost of those and helping make that happen for you. What we need for you guys is just to share the information. I'm sure we have the flyers on the table over there as well. No?
I think there's two, but Chrissy has some.
I have some, I can put them out.
Some Spotlight on Life flyers that'll give you kind of information on ideas for that.
Just a thought, if you put on a conference, like if a congregation's interested in a conference, and I'm talking in the LCMS context, so I apologize in advance, but consider doing it at a circuit level, get other congregations involved. It'll, not only will it get the information out to more people, but it's multiple congregations kind of putting on the armor of God together.
Yep. Fantastic idea.
The life issues, yeah.
From District Life Coordinator.